Well, listen, beyond, I think Dan will probably check, setting the record for an opposing player catching lob dunks. I thought we had some really good things that we responded to in this game. I told our guys that, you know, when they made a run, that this is kind of what we want. We want to see how we respond to these moments here. And, you know, we did some things to contribute to the run, but they also made some shots that we knew they were capable of making. So I just was really pleased with our guys' response in that moment. Listen, as I said, we're a work in progress. We are learning a lot about this group. First and foremost, how we respond in those moments. We've got a lot to work on, but we can at least take that response from this game and hopefully build on it.
Coach, congrats on the 3-0 start, by the way. Micah said that the moose got loose tonight.
He said what?
He said the moose got loose. Apparently that's the thing they're trying to start.
Musa?
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't heard that.
Apparently he wants us to start using that. What did you think of Musa's first start? I think 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 steals.
Well,
how did you think of him?
Really good. His back line deflections late were really critical. His cover down, you know, they were doing they can really spread you out with their ability to shoot the ball. And we had walked through practice actually the last couple of days some of our coverage on the back line, because knowing his length and his ability to finish above the rim. So Musa coming over and getting some of those deflections and having an awareness to do that speaks a lot about his, to me, that was as impactful as anything. Obviously made some shots and rebounded and played a really good floor game, 2 assists, no turnovers, 4 steals, 6 rebounds. It was obviously some good, really good moments.
And then in the season opener against Robert Morris, I think you guys had like 19, 20 turnovers. You guys cut that down to 10 tonight. What is the message, or like what have you guys been working on in practice to kind of improve on those sorts of things?
Well, CJ, we had 9 and 2, which was good today. You know, listen, this was interesting for us because they had not played zone but about 2 or 3 possessions in their first 2 games. So they had a player out. Obviously, we had a player out. We thought they could zone, but this early in the year, I don't think you're as well equipped to face zones as you'd maybe like to be. That's on me. I've got to make sure we improve in that area. But to see it for 40 minutes was a unique thing. And we had some good moments against it and some moments where not so good, but I think that was also a factor in us not turning it over as much as we just played against the zone for 40 minutes.
Chris, Micah kind of echoed what you said about wanting to be in that kind of moment late in the game. He also said that the message was, "This is fun." That was it fun? You're having a good time when they got down the 2 points, or I guess it's fun afterwards. It's fun moment.
Right. Yeah, it's just a thing coaches say, right? No, I just. There is a part of this where it's certainly stressful. There's no question about it. But there is a part of this where if you're doing this and you're working as hard as we are working, and in those moments you can't say, listen, this to me should elevate something within me, well then I probably don't want you in the game. There is an embracing of that moment that's important, I think, if you're going to perform well. And I don't want guys to shy away from it. We don't need heroes in those moments. We just need to have a commitment to make the next right play. And I think when we can figure that out, we had to get tougher on the defensive end, but we also had to just make the next right play. And what happens, happens in those moments. And we've all been in enough close games where there's some you win, there's some you lose, but I do want them to play with the level of freedom that comes with that mindset of having fun.
And then different topic, but when did you make the decision to suspend Caleb for 1 game, and then I guess how did he take it when you told him he wasn't playing tonight?
He took it really well. Caleb's a great kid, and You know, this is a part of, I think, maturation for freshmen. You know, today is kind of when I finalized my decision, along with our coaching staff, just kind of talking through some things. He's very important to what we're doing. Obviously, we really could have used him. I think he would have been really effective attacking some of the zone here tonight. But he responded great. I just sat in there. I heard him more than anybody else on the bench. So that was great to see.
And how did you see Micah handle the situation? Because that seemed to be maybe the most impactful game we've seen. And a strong start had some really big buckets for you once they cut it too. How did you see Micah approach the game, knowing that Caleb wasn't there behind him?
Good. I think he knew that his role was going to be increased, as was all of our other guys on the bench. But certainly his role was going to be more increased, and we tried to challenge him with responding against the 7-2 kid, and I thought he did some good things in there. And you know, he took care of the ball when we threw it in there against the zone. He made strong, powerful plays, catching the ball with 2 feet and 2 hands. I thought obviously made his free throws. He did some really good things for us, and I'm sure there's some things we need to clean up with him, but I was proud of his contribution.
And you said you're going to alternate lineups and move guys in and out throughout the year. When you put Moose in the lineup and take a fifth-year senior out of the lineup, how did you see Cam handle that? And is that something that, I mean, I assume you guys probably had conversations along those lines, but how did that go?
He responded well. Yeah, he responded really well. And we've talked about this prior for a few weeks. Some of his best games were coming off the bench his sophomore year. He knows that. And you know, it'll be a fluid thing. I don't think it'll be necessarily consistent the same every game. I really don't think we'll have, you know, I'm sure we'll mix it up quite a bit, but right now that may be the way we go. Obviously, we've got a really good team Sunday in Northeastern that's very capable. So we'll have to look at how we're going to play against them on Sunday in terms of our lineup. But Cam responded well.
Piggybacking off that, to start Musa, you know, what had you seen from him that kind of earned him that spot, and how did you think he responded? You know, as a 17-year-old who could be, he said he might have been playing a high school game or at least in the gym tonight.
Yeah, he would have been. It's amazing. You know, he responded with maturity. I think he wanted to play better than what he played the other night, and he's got to understand that his season's going to go a lot like that. You know, I've told Kyle Young that, I've told Caleb that. They're just going to have moments where they're going to feel uncomfortable, they're going to feel like they're lost, and they've got to respond accordingly, come back to practice the next day and get better. But like I said, his contribution was important, really important for this tonight. And I didn't envision him having this kind of night. I wish I could say I did, but I didn't. But it was good to see.
Coach, this is a game, obviously I know you weren't here last year, but this is a game last year that might have gone the other way for this team. What just do you see in the locker room, and how did the team, obviously what happened on the court, but when you pulled them in, you know, and they cut it to 2, just what was the feel that you had of the team at that moment?
You know, I think a little anxious, for sure. You could tell this is a little bit familiar territory, but we're going to be in a lot of those moments. I don't know that we're always going to win pretty this year. As a matter of fact, we may not win pretty at all. But I think we were, you know, a little anxious. That's our first kind of moment in that situation together, where a team had made a run. You know, players win games, and in that moment, that is a great example of players winning games. They just responded and made the next right play. And it was multiple guys who did that. It started again with getting a few defensive stops.
Chris, when did you guys know that you'd be able to put so much on Moose's plate as such a young player? Was that instantaneous? I imagine it wasn't, but like at what point during camp did you think you could do this?
Yeah, I would say probably 2.5 weeks into practice. You never know because you're going against the same guys, but you're saying, he's maybe a little further advanced than I thought he might be. You know, you talk as a staff after you evaluate practice and you watch practice and you say, wow, his impact on the possession offensively and defensively is pretty good. I think that's when we started to see, and you know, who knows, he's gonna have some moments where he's gonna really struggle, but I think then we felt like he may be more than what we, as a freshman, than what we thought, which was, you know, as a freshman, you always think, hey, can they give you 5, 10, 15 minutes a game? That's a pretty good contribution, and we thought maybe he can give us more. Maybe he's ready to do that. And there, we also, right, have a need, you know. It's a little bit different in Kyle's situation, where Kyle's got, you know, a little more depth at the position. He's got Kada right in front of him, who's going to be on the floor a lot, but there's also a need for him there.
Texas Southern's coach kind of mentioned that this team hadn't played zone in a while, and they kind of formed their defensive style to play zone against you guys and forced you guys to shoot mid-range and higher. And can you kind of talk about how the team kind of adjusted offensively, kind of seeing that maybe when you haven't seen that before?
Well, you know, it's funny. Last night, the last couple days in practice, as a coach, well, believe it or not, as a coach, you put a practice plan together, you go through practice, and then that night you lose sleep wondering if you did the right things in practice the day prior. And as I was kind of thinking through that the last couple nights, I kept thinking, have we win against zone enough? I don't think anybody's going to play it based on the scouting that we've done, but do we think we could see it? Do we have our out of bounds package against zone in? Do we have we had to adjust on the fly a little bit just because they had not played it. They played one possession of 1-3-1 and one possession of zone in the prior 2 games. So we showed it to them. We did show it to them, because you're always going to show those. The only thing that tipped us off a little bit was when their point guard was left back home. We said, okay, they're going to be bigger. Maybe they'll play zone.
Given that you guys seem to have success against it in the first half and struggle a little bit more in the second half, can you explain why you were more successful maybe early on? I would think you would get better at it as you go.
Yeah, I think, yeah, good question. And with zones, I think you go through pockets of where you struggle, when you struggle. You go through kind of droughts, because you do have to eventually make some, you got to penetrate the zone some, you got to throw it some, but you also got to make some perimeter shots at times. So you do kind of have some droughts. I thought we got relatively clean looks. We changed our offense a little bit about midway through the second half when we started to struggle. I thought we were a little too stagnant, so we went to more of a motion against it. And that freed us up a little bit. Yeah, I think that at least when I've coached, I've played against the zone for 40 minutes. It's never seemed like we played really good against it for 40 minutes. Just that the zone has a way of doing that to you.
You talk about learning about your team through adversity once they cut it to, and dealing with that. But you also just mentioned having to learn on the fly against the zone you guys maybe weren't super prepared for. Is that another facet of getting to know this team? And that it seems like you dealt with adversity on a number of different fronts tonight. Learning on the fly, having players suspended, having to deal with a late run. Overall, I mean, there's a lot of different areas you were hoping to check off as a coach during the early part of the season. Yeah,
no question. I think you're right. I think there's a lot we could take from this. You know, we've won against zone a lot in practice. I just think if you know they're going to play that much, you're really preparing going into the game. But I do think that responding to adversity, being a little bit shorthanded, what happens when we have an ankle, you know, injury to a player, and we're shorthanded, how are we going to respond? So yeah, I think that we do take a lot from this game, and you know, again, if you said, hey, biggest thing that you frustrated you, I just didn't feel like in the second half we came out with the kind of defensive stuff that we needed to, and I thought we let them get really comfortable, and that's disappointing. That's probably most disappointing.
Coach, you talked about in past press conferences about relying on Kada and Jay-Sean. Is this one of those games where you looked at them in the second half and when they were in 2 and said, this is for you guys now? Yeah,
I just kind of said, hey, embrace it, and you know, really focus in on making the next right play, and it's not like it's always going to fall on their shoulders, but I want them to have the courage to step up and make the play when it's there for them. And you know, Kate has a great way of kind of settling everybody down, because that's his disposition anyway. JT, Can be emotional, but I thought he showed great poise in those moments too. So it was good to see. Those guys they're good. They're really good young men, and I think they're really growing into some really good leadership stuff.
Okay. All right, thanks, Coach.
Okay.